With this is about as important a story as we have because tied to what Mike Howe came on this week, and of course the polling of Rosemary Jenks and her team over the Immigration Accountability Project, you kind of get into the heart of the politics of it. The story, and if we can, and I want to make sure we do two things in this segment. If Mo and Grace and Elizabeth can put up, I want everybody to read the poll and go through the entire poll that was done, and we talked about earlier in the week by Rosemary Jenks, because that sets kind of the predicate for what reality is. Here's the reality. A lot of the information you're hearing when people come out and said, we're not going to use the word mass deportation or anything, it's counter to what the facts are. That's all donor driven. That's donor talk, not voter talk. They're two different things here. Elizabeth Mitchell, talk to us about your story. Just go through the reporting, ma'am.
So it was reported by Axios earlier this week that James Blair, Deputy Chief of Staff for the president, told Republicans to emphasize deportations of criminal illegal immigrants, that's illegal immigrants with a criminal record, rather than mass deportations. And I was able to confirm this with people who heard it from Blair himself, and then was able to look into reactions from various wings of the Republican Party. There are some Republicans who are more conservative who said that President Trump ran on mass deportations and this lawmaker did not want the media or Democrats to slow Republicans down from that mission, citing another great poll that says that 73% of Americans believe a legal immigrant is a criminal just by crossing the border, no other crimes necessary. So that was the reaction on one hand. Many Republicans think that the president needs to stick with that mass deportation promise rather than just focusing on criminals, while other Republicans told me that this is actually something that they've been asking the White House to change their focus on. One representative, Ralph Norman, even told me that this has been the focus of the administration all along, has been on criminal illegal immigrants. The White House cited statistics showing that 70% of deportations have been criminals and 30% have been other illegal immigrants. And so there's definitely not a unified stance right now in Congress and the Republican Party about the mass deportation issue.
What is, now that you have a group that's coming together with all the grassroots leaders and the institutional leaders that have worked in this immigration situation for years under the umbrella of the mass deportation coalition. And these are some of the most aggressive, up in your grill people because they understand that this issue is to the heart of so many of the problems here in the United States. How do you think that will change people's minds on Capitol Hill, in particular when you showed the math that Rosemary Jenks has and the math that you just talked about, change their minds that the base of this party, and particularly this is a turnout, these midterms are turnout elections. How do you think that'll change the attitudes of some of the more moderate, or because look, we got in this situation with a Republican Party that was compliant with all this. This situation is so deep. We got such a hole to dig ourselves out of that we only got here with the open borders radical Democrats, but you had a controlled opposition, business-oriented, donor-oriented Republican Party that kind of went along with it, right? And only gave kind of a kabuki theater of fighting. Do you think now that there's a coalition, now that there's additional polling, and now that people are saying, hey, you ran on this, you won on this, and we need this in our own communities, you think that'll change attitudes up there, ma'am?
Yeah, I think that this coalition putting pressure on Republicans, saying that the president promised the largest deportations in U.S. history is what he promised to deliver. And I think this coalition will continue reminding Republicans on the Hill that this is what the president ran on, how he won the presidency, how Republicans won the House and the Senate, and they stand to lose those if they back away from what the American people expect to see. I mean, at the RNC 2024, not long ago, people were holding mass Deportation Now signs. This is something that was very popular with the party. And I do think the White House's strategy of highlighting the worst of the worst criminals has been very successful, showing on the screen at the press briefings the people who have assaulted children, murdered people, raped women, highlighting those people being deported, because it's really hard to argue with the argument that those people should be removed from the country. But it remains that the president did run on deporting more than just those criminals. And I think, yeah, this mass deportation coalition will likely apply pressure on that.
No, I mean, we think the angel moms and what he's done with the angel moms is quite brilliant. But now that we're in this war, you're going to see these issues pop up more than ever. Before I let you go, you keep very close to this. Let me just ask you the energy. One of the things that struck me, because we covered live the Republican House, the Doral meetings, and when the president went. And what struck me as interesting is that when the president said, that was the day he actually said, because the capital markets have been terrible that day, he actually said, I think he talked at 4 p.m, he said, hey, this is going to be a short war. I think we could wrap this up this week. It may be Thursday or Friday. He had 2 standing ovations. They jumped out of their seats and had standing ovations. As the president went on and even talked about the Save America Act, particularly at the end, he was pretty adamant. He said, hey, I need this. The country needs this. This has to happen. There was almost a tepid, it was like you're at a tennis match or a USGA golf championship. It was very tepid, kind of a golf clapping or tennis clapping. Is the energy of the members, are they looking toward this midterm? Are they afraid of it? I'm not seeing the energy you would want out of somebody that's saying, hey, we have great policies that we're fighting for. We're all in this fight. I kind of see deer in the headlights, ma'am.
I think you're right. That lack of energy could be demonstrated by the lack of movement we're seeing on the Save America Act. President Trump said he will not sign any legislation until the Save America Act is on his desk. I can't remember another bill that has had so much emphasis on it from the White House besides maybe the One Big Beautiful Bill. They have really put their full weight into the Save America Act, and yet we're not seeing a lot of movement in the Senate. It seems like there's not willingness to invoke the talking filibuster, which is pretty much the only way that this seems like it could get passed now. And so you're right. I think we are seeing a lack of energy on the Hill about these subjects, which are going to be so important in the midterms to MAGA voters.
Before I let you go, James Blair is he's the deputy chief of staff for politics. Did he give that to Axios, or was that a trial balloon they were raising up to say no mass deportation to see what the feedback was, or was that something that they're dug in, that they only want to focus on the bad hombres and there won't be any other real actions taken on mass deportations, ma'am?
The White House has repeatedly responded to reports on this, saying that they have not changed their immigration agenda. So I think what we're seeing here is more of a shift in messaging emphasis, where James Blair told Republicans ahead of midterms that he thinks they'd be best suited to win in their districts by focusing on criminals rather than deporting every illegal immigrant.
Elizabeth Mitchell, where do people get you? Daily Signal's fantastic. Where they get you? Social media, all of it, to get your writings and your thinking.
You can read my stories at dailysignal.org or follow me on X at @TheElizMitchell.
Thank you, ma'am. Great reporting. Want to make
Thank you
sure
so
everybody
much.
reads this, because this is another fight we got.